Remember those iconic British double acts who once ruled our screens? From the over-the-top silliness of Chuckle Brothers to Zig and Zag's chaotic banter on Channel 4, they lit up British TV for years. But now, they've faded quietly into the background, vanished without a trace. Here are the 10 British TV duos who disappeared when no one was looking. Back in the 90s, the Big Breakfast on Channel 4 had something totally wild. Two alien puppets named Zig and Zag. Straight from the made-up planet Zog, they were loud, silly, and completely chaotic. Zig had spiky hair and cool shades, while Zag had big teeth and a loud mouth. They'd interrupt interviews, talk over celebrities, and shout things that made no sense. It felt like cartoons had come to life, only with Irish accents and zero filter. They weren't just side characters. They became the heart of the show for a while. In fact, they were so popular, they even won a Jacobs Award for TV Personalities of the Year. But by the late 90s, they were gone. No scandals, no goodbye, they just disappeared. Now, unless you were there, people barely remember them. But if you do, drop a comment down below. We need to know we didn't imagine it. To me, to you. Just 2 words, and anyone growing up in Britain during the 90s knows exactly who we're talking about. Barry and Paul Chuckle were the kings of slapstick for kids. Their show Chucklevision ran for an incredible 21 series. That's over 290 episodes full of ladder, pratfalls, and pure chaos. Every sketch involved some silly job gone wrong, and you always knew someone was going to fall in a puddle. They were goofy, lovable, and effortlessly fun, and that's exactly what made them iconic. But after Chucklevision quietly ended in 2009, the brothers eventually faded from the spotlight. Paul popped up here and there, and Barry even did a rap video with Tinchy Stryder, but it was nothing like their old BBC days. Then in 2018, Barry sadly passed away, and just like that, a part of British childhood disappeared with him. They're still remembered by fans, but ask anyone under 20 today, and you'll probably get a confused look. Before reality stars took over daytime TV, there was a time when Anthea Turner and Eamon Holmes were the IT couple of British broadcasting. Every morning in the 90s, they were on screen as the faces of GMTV, delivering news, celebrity interviews, and odd kitchen mishaps, all with that breezy breakfast time vibe. Eamon brought the calm and steady anchor energy, and Anthea added the warmth and wit. Together, they became morning TV royalty. But behind the scenes came drama. Tabloid headlines, career shifts, and contract shake-ups eventually meant the duo quietly split, professionally at least. Eamon stayed on screen with news and talk shows, while Anthea's career zigzagged through TV, books, and even some reality TV cameos. These days, no one really talks about them together, but for a few golden years, they were British breakfast TV. For a while, Gareth Hale and Norman Pace were unstoppable. Their sketch show, Hale and Pace, ran for a decade on ITV from 1986 to 1998, pulling in millions with skits that ranged from sharp satire to full-blown weirdness. Remember the 2 Rons, the management, the stonk? They even won the BAFTA for Best Entertainment Programme in 1990. But like many comedy acts of the era, their style didn't age well. By the early 2000s, Hale and Pace had slipped out of the spotlight. No big fallout, no scandal, just changing tastes and quieter bookings. They still pop up now and then, guest roles, stage work, but nothing quite like their 90s prime. Once household names, now they're a pub quiz answer at best. But if the stonk ever comes on, you'll know exactly who's responsible. If you watched Live and Kicking on Saturday mornings in the 90s, you definitely remember Trevor and Simon. They weren't your average comedy duo. They were loud, surreal, and proudly weird. With catchphrases like, "We don't do duvets" and "swing your pants," they turned kids' TV into a chaotic playground. One minute, they were fake rock stars. The next, karate-chopping hairdressers. It made no sense, and that's what made it brilliant. Trevor and Simon didn't just entertain kids, they cracked up the grown-ups too. They were part of that golden era when Saturday morning telly felt like a party. But after Live and Kicking, they slowly drifted from the mainstream. No scandals, no headlines, just a quiet exit as children's TV evolved. Today, they're cult heroes for 90s kids and total strangers to everyone else. David Mitchell and Robert Webb were the clever ones. You might know them from Peep Show, but their sketch show That Mitchell and Webb Look was where their wildest comedy lived. From the depressed snooker hosts to number one chaos, their sketches were smart, surreal, and awkward in the best way. They mocked everything: advertising, class, and even the apocalypse. They also won a BAFTA and had a loyal fan base, but when the show ended in 2010, the duo shifted more to solo gigs and acting roles. So, they're still around, just not working together anymore. And now, a whole new generation barely knows they were ever a double act. But if you ever laughed at a sketch that made you feel both dumb and smart at the same time, it was probably them. Wee Jimmy Cranky was everywhere in the 80s. Played by Jeanette Tuff, this schoolboy character teamed up with her real-life husband Ian Tuff to form one of the oddest and most memorable double acts on British TV. The Crankies were Saturday morning mayhem, with fan-dabby-dozy catchphrases, slapstick routines, and over-the-top antics. Kids were hooked, and parents were left wondering what on earth they were watching. But by the late 90s, their TV appearances fizzled out. Times were changing, and the old-school variety vibe didn't quite land with new audiences. They pop up now and then for nostalgia specials, but as a household name, that ship sailed long ago. Before Ant and Dec, there was Little and Large. Sid Little was the calm, straight-faced one. Eddie Large, pure chaos. Together, they cracked up British audiences every Saturday night with impressions, goofy banter, and sketches that felt like your dad doing stand-up at a wedding. At their peak, they were pulling in millions of viewers. Their chemistry was old school, but it worked. For a while, they were untouchable. But as taste shifted in the 90s, their style fell out of fashion. Eddie later said they struggled to evolve, while Sid largely stepped away from the limelight. Eddie passed away in 2020, and with him went one of TV's classic double acts. They might not be remembered by name today, but their influence lives on in every straight man and funny guy pairing since. But not every duo came from the world of sketch and slapstick. Some ruled the quiet chaos of daytime TV, comfy sofas, book chats, and the kind of unscripted chaos only Live TV could deliver. Enter Richard and Judy. Starting in the 80s with This Morning, they became beloved for their laid-back, slightly chaotic chemistry. Then came their own show on Channel 4, where they launched the famous Richard and Judy Book Club, turning regular novels into bestsellers overnight. But fame wasn't always kind. There were scandals, spoofing, and a general sense that the media world was moving on. After leaving Channel 4 in 2008, they quietly stepped out of the spotlight. They've made the odd return, especially during lockdown, but the magic of their daytime dominance never quite came back. Still, for a generation of viewers, there's no forgetting the couple who once made lunchtime TV strangely addictive. They weren't cool, they weren't subtle, but for millions of Brits in the 80s, Cannon and Ball were unmissable. A working-class comedy duo who owned Saturday night TV in the 80s. Their ITV show ran for 9 seasons, mixing sketches, slapstick, and musical numbers. With his high-pitched voice, wild energy, and those iconic braces, Ball never gave Tommy a moment's peace. And that was the charm, the constant bickering, the one-liners, the chaos. You never quite knew what was coming next, but you knew it'd be loud. They even had their own movie, The Boys in Blue, and toured as comedy royalty. But as tastes shifted and comedy got slicker and edgier, their old-school style faded away. They had the occasional reunion, and Ball even appeared on shows like I'm a Celebrity, but their time had passed. Still, for those who remember. Rock on, Tommy! Still hits with a smile. That's the list. 10 forgotten British TV duos who once ruled the screen and then quietly vanished. It's a reminder of how fast pop culture moves on. One day, you're a household name. The next, you're a trivia question. So here's the big question for you. Can comedy like that even work today? Would audiences still love the slapstick, the catchphrases, the weird sketches that made no sense? Or has TV just moved on? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this video brought back memories, give it a like, hit subscribe, and stick around for more pop culture deep dives.